This is Valley News Live at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. We asked for more rain, right? Well, here it is. Rain has fallen over much of the Red River Valley all day, and the question many of you are probably asking, what about tonight? Let's get the latest from our chief meteorologist, Hutch Johnson. Hutch?
Mike, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Heading into the 5 o'clock hour, the rain continues for almost all of our area. And boy, things have really greened up here in the FM area as cars and vehicles on that commute home continuing to deal with the soggy streets. It's been one of those slow, steady rains. Your first alert weather day continues into the nighttime hours. Let's get to the latest on the drought index. We talked last night about areas along and north of I-94 seeing extreme to exceptional drought in red or dark red that you see here. Now, this was last week. Here's today's update that does not include today's rainfall. Much of this area is still in extreme drought, but significant improvements for much of Marshall County, Minnesota, and the big exceptional drought in the central part of the state alleviated. Notice this, no drought conditions at all for a small sliver of Roberts County. Rainfall reports at 3.11 inches in Galesburg, Pillsbury 304, and 3 inches reported earlier in Moorhead. Rain continuing to fall in many of these locations. Grand Forks just now starting to pick up in its rainfall accumulation, 6,200 there. Here's rain gauges across the region. The colors show areas in between getting even more where you see the oranges and reds, with that 1.93 inch report in Fargo. Here's the latest rain. It's starting to wrap up in the Devil's Lake Basin. Heavier band stretching from Valley City and that Grand Forks area just now getting some beneficial rain, as is our neighbors in southern Minnesota. The low has to move all the way through. Here's a little bit on that timing you're asking about, Mike. 3 to 8 o'clock, our western counties from Devil's Lake through the James River Valley should see things wrap up. 8 to 11 here in the Red River Valley from Grand Forks to Fargo. 11 to 4 a.m. As we look into central Minnesota, things will wrap up. I'll have details in your hour-by-hour forecast on this, how much more rain will fall, and we'll get you the latest on that holiday weekend forecast in a moment.
Things are really greening up out there.
It looks great.
Yes, thanks, Hutch. President Biden has approved North Dakota's request for a disaster declaration for overland flooding and damaging winds and hail in early June. Those storms resulted in more than $2.3 million in damage to roads and infrastructure in 8 counties in the northwestern and southern central parts of the state. The declaration unlocks FEMA public assistance to help cities, counties, and townships pay for the costs of repairs. Ida struck a massive blow in the northeastern part of the country overnight. That storm triggering tornadoes and floodwaters, being blamed for more than 24 deaths. Reporter Dan Sheneman has the latest on the storm and what the storm has left behind.
When Ida arrived in the Northeast, it still had plenty of fight.
We saw a horrifying storm last night, unlike anything we have seen before.
Heavy rain in New York City created waterfalls in subway stations and flash flooding, a city bus inundated by water in Queens. In New Jersey, roadways became waterways overnight, cars overwhelmed by the rising water. Rescuers busy throughout the region today, using air and water to bring people to safety.
I'm left for nothing. We're homeless right now. But this all, we're all going to come together and we're going to figure out a solution and we'll go from there.
Before the storm slammed New York, it hit Maryland and Metro Philadelphia. A possible tornado pounded the South Jersey community of Mullica Hill.
It was pretty quick. Wind, maybe 5 minutes, and then just everything was decimated.
A fast-moving storm that has left long-lasting damage. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Meanwhile, the lights are slowly coming back on in the French Quarter. This was the scene on Bourbon Street this morning. From street lights to bar signs, power has begun to be restored for many businesses, and one sign of hope, the popular Touchdown Jesus statue, lit up again behind the famous St. Louis Cathedral. But a lot of work is still to be done in Louisiana. The White House announcing today that President Biden will travel to Louisiana tomorrow to survey the damage caused by Ida. Morgan Chesky joined the state's governor, John Bel Edwards, as he flew over some of the hardest hit areas.
This morning's struggle and heartbreak in the wake of Hurricane Ida.
Utter devastation, like a bomb went off.
Towns like Laplace still have entire streets completely underwater. We joined Governor John Bel Edwards Wednesday on a Black Hawk tour of the devastation as he visited parishes left reeling. As we headed south, flanked by the governor's chopper, damage from the Category 4 hurricane becoming more apparent in size and scope. Ida's powerful winds responsible for knocking down 8 transmission lines, causing a catastrophic power failure across large parts of the state.
Now in St. Charles Parish, this damage, absolutely heartbreaking. This is one of the places that they say people may not get power back for more than a month.
On the ground, the governor sharing his message to those so desperately in need. Help is coming. When you fly over and see the scope of the damage, how does it hit you?
Well, it's a gut punch, and the people of Louisiana really are reeling. Tremendous devastation. This is a really tough storm. We're going to recover.
Meanwhile, in towns thrashed by the deadly storm, lines of cars waiting to stock up on gas and other essentials. Some drivers forced to push their vehicles to the pump.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
In New Orleans, the National Guard handing out vital meals, water, and ice.
I survived, man. I'm good.
As some communities see small signs of progress.
When I realized the power was on, it was a blessing.
Nearly 1 million homes and businesses still without electricity. Now, residents cheering on the crews.
When the power comes on, it comes on.
Working together to get the entire region back up and running.
Ain't no telling how long it's going to be before we get power back.
The president has says help is on the way for victims of the flooding in New York, New Jersey, and other parts of the Northeast. Today, he also talked about heading to Louisiana on Friday to see the damage firsthand from Hurricane Ida.
My message to everyone affected is we're all in this together. The nation is here to help. That's the message I've been making clear to the mayors, governors, energy and utility leaders in the region who my administration has been working closely with over the past few days.
The president added that FEMA pre-positioned more than 4.3 million meals and more than 3 million liters of water and other critical resources in the region before it hit. Also, more than 250 generators have been deployed, especially to hospitals in desperate need of them. Back at home here, Moorhead police are asking for your help in finding this girl. She's a 14-year-old. Her name is Cadence Johnson. She was last seen around 8 last night in North Moorhead wearing a gray sweatshirt, dark jogging pants, glasses, and black shoes with flowers on them. She is from Sartell, Minnesota, but could still be in our area. And if you have any information on her whereabouts, call 701-451-7660. 3 people are behind bars after shots were fired at a Bemidji apartment building. It happened in the 900 block of 26th Street South yesterday afternoon. At first, investigators on the scene weren't able to find any evidence of shots fired, but later they executed a search warrant and then arrested an adult and 2 juveniles. Tonight, 18-year-old Brandon Tahawa is in the Beltrami County Jail on charges of a reckless discharge of a firearm and fleeing police. The 2 juveniles were arrested on the same charges, along with illegally being in possession of a firearm. The search continues for the person involved in an overnight shooting in Moorhead that landed a person in the hospital. It happened around 10:30 last night in the 1100 block of 19th Street South on reports of shots fired. Officers found the victim and he was sent to the hospital. He has non-life-threatening injuries. People in that neighborhood told us many of them were evacuated as police searched the area for the shooter. They also say this was not a random event and that the parties knew each other. The YWCA of Cass Clay serves over 250 adults and children each day through shelter, housing, and supportive services. Well, today's Sweet and Spicy fundraiser is helping women and children in our community. The Chocolate Fantasy event is still going on right now with some special Valley News Live guests serving up treats. They also have chili, perfect for this rainy day. Auction items and high-end raffle prizes line the halls by the Delta Marriott Hotel in Fargo. Tickets to this event are $20 for adults, $10 for children, and ages 5 and under, you can get in free. And Valley News Live and Corwin Automotive are encouraging you to help to stock the shelves during this Hunger Action Month. The Great Plains Food Bank is preparing for a growing need for food. Corwin says it will match all gifts up to $50,000 made by September 30th. That would be enough to provide food for 300,000 meals for children, families, and seniors struggling with hunger. Later on Valley News Live at 5, with the Labor Day holiday ahead, the CDC offers a warning regarding people who are unvaccinated.
And thanks to all of you for sharing your report. Puddles the Duck says a lot of you seeing rain out there. Buxton, 3+ inches. Walhalla, Denise reporting 85 hundredths. Alicia in Rolog says 1.5 just before the steam threshers' big day. Rain continues tonight. Your hour by hour forecast is next.